Right, it's 7:32, so I think we need to start. Okay, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Aspire for Excellence Foundation webinar series. Okay, for the month of October 2025. Okay, and tonight we will be considering a topic titled "Understanding Tenancy and Property Rights in Nigeria." Okay, understanding tenancy and property rights in Nigeria. Okay. Uh, okay. And what tenants and landlords need to know. What tenants and landlords need to know. Okay. And with us tonight is a barrister on the call. Okay. We have barrister Bemi Marshall Ejiofor. Okay, and she's here with us. Okay, we will just go now to reading the bio of our speaker. And please, after our speaker starts, let's appreciate our speaker just after her bio is read. Bio, please. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Madam Pemi Ejiofor is a Deputy Director in the Ministry of Justice, Delta State, Nigeria. Barrister Pemi was called to the Nigerian Bar in the year 2004, and she's currently in the Litigation Department, Ministry of Justice, where she handles criminal and civil cases, as well as plea bargains, dispute resolution, and restorative justice. Welcome, ma.
All right. Could you please now help me appreciate our speaker for the night, please? Thank you very much. If we could please give her a digital welcome. You are welcome, barrister. You can unmute your mic. And now you have the floor, barrister. Thank you very much, madam. I will be sharing your slides and I will go on mute now. Thank you. To you. You have the floor.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Thank you for welcoming me. I appreciate. Thank you so much. Okay, we're going to be talking about a topic that, to me, is very important and very vital, because I found out that most times people have issues, and then when they come to ask me, I find out that they do not even know the basics of tenants and landlords issues, so to speak. Understanding the rights of a tenant and a landlord is very important and very crucial. Most times, a house or tenant agent to get a place for us, or we got to buy land, whatever it is, and then they just tell us the price, and we just pay the money, and we just, if they bring an agreement, we sign, and then that's it. And then when there are problems, eventually, we do not know our rights. So that's why this topic is a very, very good topic for me. It's a very good topic, and I hope that at the end of today's talk, every one of us will go away with something. I pray and hope so. Okay, so let's begin. Let's talk about types of tenancy agreements. First of all, before I even go into that, it's very important and very it's I don't know the other word to use, but it's very important for everyone before you part with your money to a landlord. It's there are basic rules that guides tenants and landlords. The law has provided what should I use now? A cushion for both the landlord and the tenant. So everybody is protected by the law. Nobody is above the other one. So let's go into it. So first of all, let me talk about types of tenancy agreements. I can't really see the slide, so let me look at my. It's a bit tiny for me, but let me look at the one I have. Fixed term tenancy. Fixed term tenancy lasts for like a period of either 1 year or 6 months, and it automatically terminates at the end of that specified period. When there's an agreement for it, when they put up a tenancy agreement, it's always specified from 1st of January 2024 to 31st of December 2024. If it's a 1 year, whatever it is, if it's a 1 year, if it's 6 months, they will break it for 6 months and they will specify it there. And at the end of that tenancy, the tenant is expected to inform the landlord of their intention to renew their tenancy, or if they do not want to renew it, they also inform the landlord. Normally, what is obtainable is when you draw up a tenancy agreement for such fixed term tenancy, there's always a clause where you put 3 months to the expiration of this tenancy. If the tenant intends to renew, the tenant shall or is expected to inform the landlord. And also, if the landlord intends to take back his possession of his property, is also supposed to inform the tenant. So you see that tenancy agreement is very important whenever you are when you're doing any tenancy, so that you know your rights, the tenant, you know your place. Each person knows their place. The tenant knows their place. The landlord knows their place too. Everybody knows their place, and nobody's infringing on any other person's rights. Everybody knows that this is what's expected of me. This is what's expected of me, so to speak. Please, if I'm making sense, let's see like a wave of hand, because it seems like I'm just talking to myself because I'm not hearing any response. Okay, so then there's periodic tenancy, which is not really common. The most common one is that fixed term tenancy, which is for 1 year or 6 months. That's the most common one, but I'll just talk about it because it's part of our paper. It continues for a specific period, e.g., month to month, and it automatically renews unless either party gives notice to terminate. This one is where 1 month, it's very rare. It's very rare. The most common one is yearly tenancy or 6 months. 6 months is not even so rare again. It's mostly yearly tenancy. Then there's tenancy at will. It's an informal arrangement with no set duration, which can be terminated at any time by either party. This one is not even advisable to even get into this one. What's the one that's obtainable that the law will back you fully is this fixed tenancy, where fixed term tenancy, where you have a tenancy agreement written. And first of all, I would like to advise: do not. I repeat, I know I said it at the beginning. I'm going to say it again because it's very important that many people do not even take this thing serious. Do not sign a tenancy agreement without going through it and reading everything that's written in it, or looking for someone. If you don't understand the terms, you can look for someone to read through it for you and then explain it to you. That's important. That number 2, do not pay money and just collect receipts and tell yourself that you're a tenant. If you don't have a tenancy agreement, when there's any issue, if any issue arises, you will not be able to protect yourself. In fact, you will not even know your rights. You will not even know what is expected of you and what is expected of the landlord. You understand what I mean? So let's try to ensure, if you're renting a place, whatever you're renting, ensure that there's a tenancy agreement, and then ensure that you read through it. Ensure that you read through the tenancy agreement and understand it before you sign. I'll give a quick example. It was last week. Someone came to me and was complaining. You know, there's something that we pay, that you are supposed to pay when you rent a house, caution fee. And so the person brought came to my office to complain that he rented a house, and then he paid caution fee, and then um he moved out. And when he moved out, the landlord sent him a letter, not the landlord, the lawyer sent him a letter telling him that um the damages in the house exceeds the caution fee that he paid, and so he has to come and pay for the fixing of the damages. And he came to me and was complaining and saying that, but I paid caution fee, and they told me that the caution, when I pay caution fee, whatever is damaged in the house will be sorted out. So I told him, I said, did they give you a tenancy agreement? He said yes. I said, okay, so where's the tenancy agreement? Did you read through it? He said, well, yes, I glanced through it and I signed. I said, okay, bring it, let me see. And I opened his tenancy agreement, I was looking at it, and I saw a clause where they wrote that even if the tenant pays caution fee, peradventure, if the damage exceeds the amount of money the tenant paid for caution fee, the tenant will be responsible for the extra money that will be used to fix the damages. And I showed him that clause. Did you see this? He said he cannot remember seeing it. I said, but you signed it. So you have already signed it, so that means you agreed with it. Once you sign something, you have already agreed with it. That's why it's very important to, like I said in the beginning, go through the tenancy. First of all, make sure that there's a tenancy agreement. Make sure that there's a tenancy agreement. Number two, make sure you go through the tenancy agreement. If you're not comfortable with it, tell the landlord you're not comfortable with it. I've seen a tenancy agreement where the tenant rejected it because the landlord said they don't want pets in their house, and then they should make sure they are home by 8 p.m. And the tenant told me that it's not possible because where he works, he closes at 10 p.m. So it's not possible. And he has a dog. So you understand, he read through the tenancy agreement. He was ready to pay. But as soon as he saw those clauses, he said, no, he cannot. And then he left. That's the one that read. But if he had not read, and eventually when he moves in, the landlord starts saying, or maybe he comes home at 10 p.m. and the gate is locked, he will now start saying the landlord is infringing on his rights. But he read through it and he saw it. That's the importance of always reading through your tenancy agreement before you sign. So now let's go into, now we've talked a bit on the importance of tenancy agreements. So let's look at the rights of the tenants. I'm sorry, I'm not looking at the slide. Like I said, I'm not seeing it well. I'm looking at what I have on my paper. So tenancy agreements, let's look at the rights of the tenants. You have the rights of the landlord, and you have the rights of the tenants. So look at the rights of the tenants. I would try to break it down. First of all, tenancy agreement should be in writing. I don't know anything about that oral. That oral one does not work. How will you prove it? Do you have voice recording? No, you don't. So it's better to have a written tenancy agreement. You can do word of mouth talking, but man, the person can come and say, I didn't say that. To be your word against the person's word. So if you have a written tenancy agreement, man, anywhere you take it to, it will work. And I'll also talk about something before I go into that. Before I go into the rights of the tenants. You know, sometimes some of us some landlords just do their own tenancy agreements by themselves. And I've seen that severally. They just do it by themselves, and then they just give it to their tenants. If your tenancy agreement does not have the seal of a lawyer, it's even invalid. I hope you are aware of that. Because most times you just go to a business center. I've sat down, my friend has a business center, and I've sat down in a shop and I've seen someone, a landlord. I was sitting down there. He didn't even know I was a lawyer. I was just sitting down there. And he came in and he said he wanted to prepare tenancy agreement for his tenant. And my friend was asking him, she knew I was a lawyer, so she was just talking generally, like, don't you use a lawyer to do your tenant? Why would you just do tenancy agreement just like that, you know? And he said, I beg, lawyers, they charge too much. I beg, just put it for me. Just put that red seal, and to look very authentic and all of that. And I kept quiet. I didn't say anything to him. I just kept quiet. Peradventure, if there's an issue and you carry that tenancy agreement to the customary court, it will not fly. It is not a legal document because there's no seal. There's no seal on it to authenticate it. That's why it's important when your landlord is even giving a tenancy agreement, look at it very well. Was this thing prepared by a lawyer, or was it prepared by just anybody? We should always remember that. That is very important. Very important. So now, let me go to the rights. I've been saying I want to go to the rights since, well, I'm going there now. Okay. Rights of the tenants. Let me read what I have here. Rights of habitation. The tenants have the right to live in a property that is safe and habitable. Let me explain that. A tenant has a right to, if you are renting a property, it should be habitable. What does habitable mean? A place where somebody can live in, not an animal. A place where somebody can comfortably live in, not a leaking roof. You cannot rent a house to a tenant and then when it's raining, they put buckets everywhere, or the house is flooded when it's raining. That's totally wrong. So if you are renting a house, that's to the landlords. If you're renting a house, make sure your house is habitable. People can live there. Let you have the basic things, like, for instance, if you're renting, let's look at there are different types of houses. There's 3-bedroom flat, there's 1-bedroom flat, there's good is it face me, I face you, what do you call it? The one that the toilets and bathrooms are outside. So let's look at the basic things that you will need in a house. First of all, the most important thing, let the roof be good. Let the walls be okay. There's some houses that you go into that if you go into the house, you went into a freezer, because the I don't know, maybe the way they built it, the walls are cold. So when you go into the house, it's always cold. It's always cold. That's poor. Is it poor? What do they call it now? Building work or whatever it is. But basically, let the house be habitable. Let the house be a house that somebody can live in. I cannot emphasize on that. That is very, very important. That is a right that every tenant has. It's an important right for every tenant. A habitable house where they can live in comfortably. I'm not talking about things that are in the house. I'm talking about the basic amenities that are supposed to be in the house. So if, for instance, it's a 1-bedroom flat, of course it will have a toilet. So it should have a functional toilet. Not a toilet that doesn't flush, or a kitchen sink that is leaking. Those kind of things. Let it be habitable. There's sometimes you rent a house to someone and the person will call and say, my toilet cannot flush, or water doesn't, the drainage is bad. Those kind of things. Let it be habitable. So let me not dwell on that one. I think I've wasted too much time on that. And number 2, privacy, very important. Privacy of the tenant. The tenant has a right to privacy. Although in the tenancy agreement, there are clauses where they say the landlord has a right to, from time to time, come into the flat or the house of the tenant to inspect. But that is with prior notice. He must have given the tenant prior notice, and tenant would allow him to come in. You understand what I mean? But the landlord cannot just wake up and just barge into the tenant's house. That's totally wrong and against the law. You can't just wake up and just knock on the door and go like, I want to check the house. I want to see something in the house. Or why did you put this one? I saw something from outside and I'm coming to check it. No, that's totally wrong. That's totally wrong. Number 3. Protection against unjust eviction. This one is very important because people always come to meet me for this. Okay, let's break it down. If it's a 1-year tenancy, your landlord cannot just wake up and tell you that I don't want you in my house again, or just tell you to leave. It's against the law. Most people do not know this. I've had tons of people call me and say, see, oh, they just came to submit notice. Oh, I'm not even owing rent. They didn't even let me know. They just came and said that they have 7 days to leave. That's wrong. That's wrong. If you want a tenant to evict or rather, you want to evict a tenant from your property or from your house, if it's a yearly tenant, you give them 6 months notice. First of all, you give them 6 months. So tenants, please note this one. Don't allow anybody to bamboozle you out of your house. No, it is wrong. They'll give you 6 months notice first. If you want, if for instance, tenant rent is expiring in 1 month's time, and you're not gonna give me 6 months, now you sabi, that 6 months will run, and most times the tenant will not pay any rent. So it's better. Me, from some property I manage, I tell the landlords, if you want to give, sometimes they'll come and tell me like 3 months before the rent is expiring that I don't want this person anymore. I'm like, you cannot give this person. You have to give this person prior notice. If this person knows their rights, they will insist on staying for 6 months. They will not leave. You understand? So they give you 6 months notice first, then they give you 3 months notice, and then they give you 7 days notice. After that 7 days notice, they charge you to court. Sometimes there are other things that some landlords do. I've heard of a story of one woman going to remove the roof, or one changing the locks. That's wrong. That's all wrong. What the proper thing to do is, after they've done the due process of 6 months, 3 months, 7 days, they charge you to court, and you are invited. They send a bailiff to send you an invitation to come to court, and you go to court, and then you meet the judge there, and then they decide on the matter. If they decide in favor of the landlord, the court will give an order for a bailiff to go and evict you from the house. That's the proper process. So a landlord cannot just wake up and tell you, get out of my house. It's not done. It's against the law. So know your rights. Do not allow anybody to bamboozle you. I repeat, do not allow anybody to bamboozle you. You have a right to lots of things. Okay, so I've talked about three tenants agreements. Please, if you are following me, please can I get a wave of hand? I like that a lot. Please just be doing that for me, please. Thank you. Okay, so let's go to, I talked about 3 now. I talked about habitation, right to habitation, right to privacy, and then protection against unjust eviction. Then there's a 4th one, right to repairs. This is also very important. But there are also things that the tenants can ask for repairs for. For instance, if you move into a new house and everything is, okay, the house is habitable, everything is working well, everything is okay, and then you spoil it, you will fix it yourself, guy. You don't call the landlord to come and fix what you spoiled. You understand what I mean? But if you move into a house, maybe somebody had stayed in the house before, or even probably somebody has not even stayed in the house before, but there were some defects. Maybe you got into the house, the doors are not locking well, you just moved in, like I said, toilet's not flushing well, or something is wrong. Yes, you can call the landlord. You can call the attention of the landlord that there's a problem. See, this is bad. Me, I manage property, so I see that a lot. Some people call me and maybe they'll send a video and say, see this thing, see the way this door is, the person just moved in. So I will call the landlord, the landlady, and I'm like, see, this thing is bad. We need to send someone to go and fix it, and then they'll go and fix it. You have a right to do that. But like I said, you cannot go and spoil the landlord's property and then I call the landlord to come and fix it again. No, now. That will not be nice. That's not nice at all. But if genuinely you move into a property and there are things that are bad, you have a right to demand for it. There are some cases where some tenants, I think I've heard stories of that they move into a place and then it hasn't been fixed completely, and then they fix it with their money, and then I'm debating a bit, but I just remember it. I want to say it, and they fix it with their money, and then they have an agreement, oral agreement, which is wrong. Like I keep saying, they have an agreement with landlord and say like, okay, the rent is so and so amount. I use so and so amount to fix it. Okay, so this amount I used to fix it now will last for maybe 1 year or 2 years of my rent. So I'm not paying rent till the 3rd year, for example. And you do not put it in writing. Guy, how do you expect to prove that anywhere? How? You can't prove it. You can't prove it because you didn't put it in writing. Those kind of things, this life, in fact, every agreement, apart from tenancy itself, every agreement that you make, please put it in writing. Put it in writing. What is written there cannot be erased. It's there. It's there. It's a proof to show that we both decided, we both agreed together. Even if you are borrowing someone money, you're lending money to someone, and the person is telling you, I'm going to pay you in 5 months' time. Put it in writing. I'm debating, but I have to say this. Put it in writing. So now let's go to rights of landlord. We've talked about 4 rights of tenants: right to habitation, right to privacy, protection against unjust eviction, and a right to repairs. So let's talk about the rights of the landlord. Number 1, right to rent. Let me read what I wrote there. Landlords have the right to receive rent as agreed in the tenancy agreement. Okay, let's talk about that. I build a property and I want to give it out. I know how much I spent. I know how much energy, finances, and everything I put into it to get it to a standing stage, to a habitable stage for you to come and stay and live peacefully. So I decided I'm going to rent it for so and so amount, X amount. It is my right to put a price. It is your right to say you're not comfortable with the price and then you leave. But do not, I've had issues with people like that. They will come and rent a place and pay the rent for the first year and then refuse to pay the rent for the other years. And they keep telling you stories like, try and understand now, things are hard. What. They give excuses. And then sometimes they start cutting the landlord's money. They pay in bits, which is terrible. I will give a good example. The example is my own mom. My mom's house, her tenants, they come the first year and they pay the full rent. And then next year, you are begging them to pay their rent. Yeah, as in you're begging them to pay their rent. They're giving you excuses. That's wrong. The landlord has a right to receive rent as agreed. Let me read it again. The landlord has the right to receive rent as agreed in the tenancy agreement. You agree that you're going to pay so and so amount. Please abide by that law. Be the agreement, not put law, the agreement. We agreed you're paying so and so amount. Please pay the amount. If you know from the beginning, I don't think I can't do this. I can't test this. I can't. Maybe I have the money now. But will I be able to have this money next year to pay? No, I don't think so. No, let me look for a cheaper one. It's better than to pay the rent for the first year and the next year it becomes a fight for you to pay your rent. That's very wrong. And then number 2, property management. Landlords have the right to manage their property and set rules for conduct. Okay, this brings me back to the story I told about the guy that saw a tenancy agreement where they wrote no dogs, no pets, come home at 8 o'clock. It's the guy's property. He has the right to put his rules. He's there for you to say, oh, I can manage it, or no, I can't deal with this. Let me look for somewhere else. You understand? They have the right. You cannot come to their compound and telling them, no, this is your law. this your law is too extreme. It's too extreme. How can you be doing that kind of thing? No, it's your property. That's why they have a tenancy agreement. It's written there. You look at it. Oh, I can manage. Oh, I cannot manage. So don't move in there and start giving the landlord stress by saying that everything he's doing is too extreme. No, that's wrong. He has a right to manage his property and settle the way he deems fit. Oh, but without infringing on your own rights. You understand what I'm saying? He has his own rights. You have your own rights. So he has the right to manage his property the way he deems fit without infringing on your own rights. Let's get that. He can do his own thing, but he shouldn't infringe on your rights. So now, the next one, eviction rights for the landlord. Landlords can initiate eviction proceedings if tenants violate terms of the tenancy, such as non-payment of rent or causing damage. Okay, these ones are always in the tenancy agreement. If it's not your tenancy agreement, no sign. Oh. If it's not there, don't sign. Please, wave of hand, wave of hand. If I have a following audience, thank you.
Yes, ma.
Please,
Please, ma, you have 30 minutes more, ma.
30 minutes more. Wow.
Yes,
Hey,
ma.
God will help me today. Okay, thank you. So now the rights to initiate eviction proceedings if tenants violate terms of tenancy such as non-payment of rent or causing damage. Let's talk about the non-payment of rent. I really have to rush now. Let's talk about the non-payment of rent. If your rent has expired, I talked about 6 months, 3 months, 7 days. If your rent has expired, you don't fall under that category. Oh. If your rent has expired, they give you 7 days. Once your rent has expired, you don't have a right again. When your rent has not expired, you have a right. So they have to do that 6 months, 3 months, 7 days. But when your rent has expired, you lose that right. Remember I said if you're a tenant, and you want to renew your rent, you have to inform the landlord and all of that. So your rent has expired, you are not moving out, you are not renewing your rent, you have lost your rights already. So they give you 1 week, that is 7 days notice for you to move out. So that's different. That's the rights that the tenant has. Let me leave that now. Rent responsibility of tenants. I've talked about that, so I'll just gloss through it. Paying your rent on time. Pay your rent on time. Learn to pay your rent on time. Do not keep your landlord's rent. Do not say economy is bad or whatever it is. Yeah, we all know the economy is bad, but prepare yourself. You have 1 whole year to save and prepare your rent. So please keep your rent and prepare your rent. Maintenance and care. Tenants are generally responsible for keeping the property clean and reporting damages. Tenants are generally responsible for keeping the property clean. The landlord cannot come and be cleaning your house for you now or cleaning the surroundings for you. Keep your environment clean. It's your responsibility to keep your environment clean. And then if there's any damage, major damage, then you can inform the landlord. Tenants must abide by the rules specified in tenancy agreement, such as noise restrictions or pet policies. See what I explained before. Just follow what is written in the tenancy agreement. Read through it and then follow through it. If you have decided that you're going to take it, follow through it. Responsibilities of landlord. I'm trying to rush now. I didn't even know that I spoke on that thing for 30 minutes. I'm so sorry. Maintenance of the property. Landlords are responsible for maintaining the property and ensuring that it meets with health and safety codes. What are the health and safety codes? There should be a bin. There should be a bin. I see a lot of properties, you see the trash all littered outside. That's wrong. In fact, if all these health scheme people come, they'll just come and seal your compound, they'll seal your property. So landlords should provide the basic things for safety. Fire extinguisher, and then a bin, and then they should pay what do they call these people that to take trash away. They should pay them. There's an amount of money that you pay every month. Waste management board, pay them to take the trash regularly. It's not supposed to overflow. And this one, most times the payment is shared amongst the tenants, but the landlord should provide the bin, make the arrangements, and make sure that this is done. So now, I'm trying to rush. Honoring the tenancy agreement. Landlord must abide by the terms and conditions set out in tenancy agreement, including respecting tenant rights. Very important. I've talked about that, so it's very important. Termination of tenancy. Notice period. I've talked about that already. I talked about it. So let's just move forward. So now, dispute resolution. It's advisable for both landlords and tenants to resolve disputes amicably. But if disputes arise, they can seek mediation or involve legal authorities if necessary. They can decide to do mediation. Normal, bring somebody else to talk about it, come to an amicable conclusion, like agree on somebody bend, and then you know what I mean by that. That's mediation. Or if it's not being solved with all of that, then they can do the legal part. That's by going to the customary courts. And that's after you follow the all due process as stated above. So now, the legal framework. Let me just talk about that. The Land Use Act and tenancy law of specific states and various laws govern landlords and tenant relationships in Nigeria. It's better for us to be familiar with all these rules. Everything I said now, you can find them in those laws. They're all there. Basically, everything I've said now are in those laws. So let me jump. I'm trying to hurry. I jumped to rights and obligations of tenants. Rights and obligations of tenants. I'm trying to rush. Tenants can remain in the property until proper notice is given. I've said this thing before. They said often 30 days, but most times if the 1 year tenancy is the first notice is 6 months, like I said. Let me leave that. Let me leave all that. I've talked about that, so I'm just going to, it's like repeating myself. I'm rushing. Hope I'm within time. Oh, please let me know if I'm within time. I'm trying.
Yes, ma'am. We take time.
Thank you. Notice of termination process. I've said that already. Landlords must provide written notice to terminate. Yes, this one is important. They will bring a quit notice. A quit notice. They cannot come and tell you with the amount and say, I don't want you in my house anymore. Leave my house. And you just be afraid and just pack out. The law backs you. They should come with a quit notice from the customary court, not from a business center. Anybody can drop it. Me, I can sit there and just drop a quit notice. But you have to go and file it at the customary court. Most people do not know this, so they're not aware of this. They will just say, write quit notice. Somebody will write quit notice and just sign and just give it to you. That's wrong. You go to a customary court, you drop the quit notice, go to a customary court and file it. And then you serve it on your tenants. That's the proper thing to do. That's why you need to get a lawyer to do that for you. I've talked about tenants' rights. Okay, on this eviction process, the landlord must file an eviction lawsuit. If the tenant does not vacate the property after receiving a notice of termination, the landlord must provide evidence. This is what I've been saying since, justifying the eviction in court. If the court rules in favor of the landlord, a judgment will be issued, and a sheriff, a bailiff, in Delta State is bailiff they call them, or constable, will carry out the eviction if necessary. This is what I said. I said it before, but I'm just repeating it again for emphasis' sake. The landlord does not have the right to come and remove your things from your house. Let's know that. They will not come and remove your things from the house. They will follow due process. Due process. And after that, if judgment is in favor of the landlord, they will send a court bailiff. The court will order a court bailiff to come and evict you from the premises and remove your property from there. If need be, that's if you have not done it already. Then the tenants have the right to contest the eviction in court. They cannot be forcibly removed without a court order, and they have a right to remain in the property until a legal decision is made. these things are very, very important. Most people do not know it. Oh, most people don't know it. So we should learn. We should. I don't know this paper. I don't know if this will be sent, but if they will send it to everybody. But this paper should be sent to everyone so that you will know your rights. Do not allow anybody bamboozle you. Don't allow anybody bamboozle you. So let me just go to um let me go to the legal framework. Let me just talk about the legal framework. How many minutes do I have, please? Can you let me know? How many minutes
That's
more
why
do I have?
you still have 19 minutes.
Okay. Let me just talk about the legal framework. I think I've basically touched on everything on landlord and tenant rights. I think I talked about that. So the legal framework, I'll read it. The legal framework governing land, property ownership, and residential tenancies in Nigeria is multifaceted and involves various statutes, customary laws, and judiciary decisions. There are key components of this legal framework. One, the Constitution of Nigeria, the 1999 Constitution, as amended. It provides the foundational legal principles. Everything I've said now, governing land use and ownership. It establishes the legal basis for property rights, but also allows for governmental regulations concerning land for public good, e.g., compulsory acquisition. The Land Use Act of 1978, number 2. The Land Use Act is the primary legislation governing land tenure in Nigeria. It vests all land in a state in the hands of the state governors. Okay, I think I should talk about acquiring of land. I don't know. I don't think that was part of what I was supposed to talk about, but I'll talk about that a bit. A bit. Let me just talk about that. Most people, there's a story. I always have stories because people always come to me to tell me funny stories, and I'm like, why didn't you ask questions? That's what always comes to my mind. There's this client of mine. I'm doing another case for him, and then he came to my office. Came to my office on Friday. Yeah, just yesterday, and he was complaining. He was saying that, can you help me do another deed of conveyance? I'm like, I don't understand what happened. He said that he did a deed of conveyance in his words. So that's what he was saying with someone for a property in Anambra State, and after he had paid, signed and paid, he got home and he gave his brother to read it, and he found out that it was a lease. You know, there's a difference between outright deed of conveyance. That's outright transfer of ownership. That's deed of conveyance. Lease is renting. Lease is like tenancy agreement, so to speak. It's like tenancy agreement. Lease. That's what lease is all about. But this person gave him a lease, and he signed, thinking that he had gotten outright possession of that property. And he was very sad when he came and he said he paid millions. He was telling me, like, what can you do? I'm like, there's nothing I can do. Because you have already signed. Even if you take this thing to court, it will show that it is written there as a lease. You looked at it and you signed it. You understand? So you have to find a way. That's where mediation comes in, to go and meet the man and try to explain to him that you don't understand what, or whatever. But for you to go to court and say that this man scammed you, you signed it. The man did not force you to sign. Do you understand? That's why it's important for us to always read. Always read. Then number 2, again, because I'm talking about land now, if you want to acquire land or a landed property, please do proper search, due process. Go to Ministry of Lands, conduct a search, get a lawyer to do it for you. Not just somebody just come and point land to you and say, that's my land, though. My father gave it to me in 1977 or 1978 or 1979, whatever. Or I got it as an indigenous of that community. They just tell you story. You did not ask. Apart from going to Ministry of Land to conduct search, go to that community. There are people that are there. There's no land, there's no property there's no community around that area. So if somebody comes and tells you that this thing is for sale, it is mine, make inquiries and don't do blind buying. You can't do blind buying. Don't just go and pay for something that you are not even sure of by word of mouth. Somebody comes and tells you that this is my property, and then you pay for it, and then you don't do your due diligence. You have to do due diligence. You have to do proper search. Make sure this thing is for sale. This thing belongs to this person that is bringing it to me for sale. And then after that, ensure that there is a properly drafted deed of conveyance. There are deed of conveyances like this one that had happened to this man that will be detrimental to you if you do not read it. If you cannot read or you don't understand legal terms, look for someone that does, to read through it line by line. Our biggest problem in Nigeria is that we don't read line by line. Let the person look through it and read through it, and then tell you, oh, this thing that is here, are you comfortable with this thing that is here? Please go and ask them, what does this thing mean? Ask questions. Don't sign. Why did they write this thing here? Why did they say this thing would be like this? You know, when you're getting a property, they put that you are getting a property that is free from all encumbrances. That's one of the clauses that is there. Free from all encumbrances. There nothing like somebody wake up tomorrow, or you now maybe you now start molding blocks in the property, or you build a security house that's what obtains most times in the property, and somebody just will come and say, who gave you right to come and do this thing on this property? Is my own. No. That means there's a problem. There's a problem already. So in that deed, they always write that this thing is free from all encumbrances. It's free. The landlord has.
Yes, ma, you have 15 minutes more.
Okay, thank you. You have absolute rights over this property that is being transferred after giving consideration. That's after paying the vendor so and so amount. Is transferring absolute ownership of that thing, that property, to you. So that property is now yours, legally, fully yours. So that's why you should read the deed of conveyance properly, number one. Two, do your due diligence and ensure that property is not encumbered. It doesn't belong to somebody else. It's not a family property that this person is coming to sell behind their back. Do you understand? Let's try to be proactive. Is it proactive as the word? I don't know. Let's just try our best to shine your eyes. Let me use that one. Shine your eyes, whatever you're doing, everything you're doing. So, I don't know whether there's more that I'm supposed to talk about. I think I've talked about. Let me talk about the Land Use Act. It was Land Use Act I was talking about, before I remembered that I talk about land, acquiring of land. So, Land Use Act is the primary legislation governing land tenure in Nigeria. It vests all land in a state in the hands of the state governors, who act as trustees for the people. Key provisions include administration of land by state governments, procedures for obtaining land use and occupancy rights through grants and leases, restrictions on land ownership by non-Nigerians. Customary law. In addition to statutory laws, customary laws play a significant role in land ownership and property rights, especially in rural areas. These laws vary by ethnicity and locality and often govern the transfer and inheritance of land. Let me talk about this. If you look at if you have ever done a deed of conveyance, or whether you have ever bought a land and they did a deed of conveyance, there's always somewhere where they wrote after abiding by all the rules of the customary rules of so and so. Maybe let's use Opanam. After buying the kola nuts, after paying all the customary rules, after meeting the right people, it's always there. It's always there. It always shows there, because that's why I said you have to go. You go to Ministry of Lands to conduct your search, and then you go to the village, the community. That thing is extra important. They are the ones that will tell you the truth. Oh, it's not the one that come and tell you that my father gave me. Go to the community and make inquiries. and ask for it. So now then I want to talk about something that is not part of it, part of is landlord and tenants also. I want to talk about something, an incident that happened, which I think probably would have happened to some of us or someone you know. Someone came to meet me and she was complaining that um she was desperate to get a new place. She had to leave her old place, and then she got someone told her that I'm staying in this 3 bedroom flat, and I want to relocate. My rent is expiring next month. The rent is yearly rent. It's so and so and so amount of money. So you can take it. You can take it when I move out. I'm moving out next month, or is there? I think in a few weeks from now, and then pay the rent to me. I'll pay it to the lawyer. That's number one wrong. And she did. She paid the rent to the is it incumbent tenant. She paid the rent to her, and the tenant left. She moved in. She stayed for like a week, and then the lawyer managing the property came to knock on her door. Like, who are you? I don't know you. You're not my tenant. I've never seen you before. You understand? Which is understandable because it did not go through the lawyer that is managing the property. And then, but the lawyer now says you have to pay money to become a tenant. Then she pays. Eventually, I think after staying for like 2 years, the lawyer comes and says again that you didn't pay for that first year that you stayed. She was like, but I paid to. Did you pay to me? You didn't pay to me. You paid to somebody else. So that brings me. I'm not going to drag into how it turned out. It didn't turn out well. But eventually it was resolved. But it didn't turn out well at all. That's why I keep saying that do due diligence before you acquire property, before you rent a house, a shop, whatever it is they are renting. Follow the process. There was no tenancy agreement drawn. You understand? For this particular scenario. So she had nothing to hold. In fact, the lawyer took her to court. And it was a long battle. It was a long battle that was eventually resolved. Because there was no tenancy agreement, she didn't pay the money directly to the right person that the money is supposed to be paid to. First of all, know the person that you're supposed to pay the money to. You're getting a house. Who am I paying the money to? Okay, is this person? This is the right person. Who is giving me receipts? Is this person? Who is giving me my tenancy agreement? Always ask for. People don't ask for. Some people say manager, they don't even ask me for tenancy agreement. I'm just like, when are you collecting your tenancy agreement? Which one is tenancy agreement? You have to collect agreement and you sign. Most people are not aware. Once they give them receipts, they are okay with their receipts. They're not aware that they're supposed to collect. So always make sure you pay to the right person. You follow due process. You're renting a place. Pay to the right person. Get the tenancy agreement. Hold your tenancy agreement. Keep it. Read through it. Understand it. And then decide whether you want to do it or not. And then when you have decided that you're going to stay, keep your tenancy agreement. Keep it safe. So that tomorrow, if any issue occurs, you will know that, but in paragraph this, you said so and so and so. So why are you not doing something contrary? You have something to hold on to. But if you don't have any tenancy agreement or you did not even read it, they don't know without bamboozling you now. They'll come and tell you one day, madam, pack out of my house. People call me like that now. They say I should pack out. I don't even understand. And there's something I'm going to talk about that is not part of this one. Let me talk about it before my time will run out. Let me just talk about it quickly. I just remembered. Increment of rent. It is, I don't know what happens, but there's a time frame for increment of rent. You cannot wake up. If you want to increase somebody's rent, like me, the properties I manage, I tell them that if you want to increase the rent, tell me 1 year beforehand. That's what I do. So if you pay your rent this year, if we're increasing rent, they'll send you that letter of increment just as soon as you pay that your rent. So you know that when you're renewing your new rent, this is the rent you're paying. And that if you know you're not comfortable paying that rent, you have enough time, ample time to look for another alternative arrangement. You understand what I mean? But I've seen situations where people come to tell me and they pay. Oh, I don't even understand. They pay. They'll tell me that they came and told me that they just came. My rent was 2 months to expiring, and they told me that they've increased the rent from 500 to 1 million. I won't pay though. Still, they still came again, and that's why they're doing what they're doing now, because you don't know your rights. You don't know your rights. A landlord cannot just wake up and increase rent. They give you due notice. That one is not included in my paper, so but just remember that I have to say it. They have to give you due notice. They don't wake up and just increase your rent. They have to give you due notice. Give you time to prepare for it. Me, like I said, I do 1 year. I tell whoever manage a property for, I tell them, tell me on time. Don't tell me when the rent's about expiring that we're increasing rent. I will not even do it. I will not write the letter. I will not write the letter because I think it's not fair. It's wrong on all sides. It's wrong on all sides. So I hope that I've been able to trash some of our issues on tenancy and tenancy issues with landlord and tenants. I hope I've done that. I think I'll stop here for now if I'm allowed to. Thank you, Mr. Mike.
I am with you. Thank you very much. Could we please appreciate our speaker for the night? Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you. Even though you still have some time left, I don't know, but
How
it
much
seems
time do I have left?
you have about 5 minutes left. We can even give you 5 more to make it 10 if you want, but you have 5 minutes.
What would you like me to talk about so that I can?
Well, it depends on the questions. Maybe let's go for the questions first.
Okay, yes.
And then we go. Okay, so let's check the chat box. First, we appreciate you. Thank you so much. Okay.
I'm grateful.
We're going to share the slides on the Aspire for Excellence WhatsApp group. Okay. Let's see if we have some questions. Yes. There are some questions here. Okay. And I think, in fact, not just you can. No, there are a lot of questions here.
Wow. Okay, let's hear.
Okay. All right. Okay, no, someone is saying thank you for the expository knowledge and information. They say thank you most sincerely for this expository knowledge and information sharing.
Thank
and the
you
person said,
for thanking me.
Yeah, we come back later. Okay. You have another one here that says, if my landlord serves me a letter or notice,
yes,
what is the consequence if I don't receive or sign acknowledgement of receiving the letter? You know, there are many tactics.
Yes. Okay. There's what we call substituted service. So if you don't receive it or you don't sign, the landlord can paste it on your door. That's your door. The law recognizes that as you being served. So if you are trying to evade service, it will not work. Just receive it. You understand? Because if they do that substituted service, they'll paste it on your door. Because there's no way now, or won't you come home again? So you will definitely see it. So the best thing is not to just evade it. Thank you.
Okay, another person said, thank you, barrister, for this wonderful and insightful presentation. I have 2 questions that are online. That are online short-term rental related, like Airbnb and Booking.com. Number 1, in Nigeria, do we have specific rules or regulations or a legal framework that governs such? That's number one. Okay, let me repeat the question again.
Yes, thank you.
It said, "Thank you, barrister, for this wonderful and insightful presentation. I have two questions that are online short-term related." So they're
Okay.
talking of the short-term rental related,
Okay.
like Airbnb and Booking.com. You know,
Yes.
Airbnb, they are short-term related. You don't book for 1 year. You know, you book
Yes.
like you
Yes.
come for
Yes.
Christmas, you just book
Yes.
for Christmas period and then you go. Okay.
Yes.
So they said, in Nigeria, do we have specific rules and regulations or a legal framework to govern such? That's the first question for that short-term rental.
Okay. We have a law, but unfortunately, I cannot tell you the exact law now. But every kind of tenancy, there is a law that backs it. You understand? For that kind of thing, it depends on what the owner is doing. If, for instance, they decide that they want to just they don't. In fact, if you pay for a property, like I'll emphasize on that. If you pay for a property, you have a right over that property for that period that you paid for it. Nobody has a right to evict you from that property without following due process. You understand what I mean? So put that at the back of your mind that you paid consideration, that's the legal term, to get service or get a property to use for a particular period of time. If you do not exhaust that period of time, nobody has the right to remove you unless you breach the rules that govern the agreement that you have for that period. That's the only reason why somebody will just come and evict you. If not, nobody has the right to do that. I hope I've been able to answer a bit.
Okay, if I understand the person is, like you talked about fixed term, which is 1 year, for example.
Yes.
Now, what this person is asking, Airbnb are relatively new in Nigeria. It started first in the West, in Canada, in the West. So this person is asking, like in the law, for example, do you have things specific to Airbnb or short-term rentals? That's what this person is asking. Any legal framework that governs short-term rental, like for 3 days, 1 week, or Christmas or Easter, something like that.
Yes, I know what you mean. I cannot. Can I answer that question later on and put it on the page?
Okay, all right. Maybe you can send to me and I can put it in the Aspire for Excellence WhatsApp group. Okay. Then there is a second question related to that. What taxes do I need to collect and remit as a short-term rental business owner from the clients?
Short-term.
Yes. Short-term is for some days, Airbnb, 1 week, Christmas, New Year, all those kind. So what kind of taxes do I collect?
That you're talking about the owner now?
Yes, the owner.
From the clients?
Yeah, probably what taxes does he have to pay? I would think that probably short-term should be treated just like hotels, if you see what I mean. The same rules that apply for hotels. Like in hotels, in some states, like in Lagos, you have what they call like the enjoyment tax, if you see what I mean. If you go out to eat outside, there is some tax, some 5%. I don't know what it is now, or 2.5%, if you see what I mean. I guess, I'm not a lawyer, but my guess is that short-term rentals are typically like hotels, because in principle, a hotel is a short-term rental.
It is.
You check into a hotel, you want to stay for 2-3 days for a meeting, a conference or something. When you are through, you come out. So I think that typically what happens to hotels, really, the legal framework that affects them will probably affect Airbnb, even though it's a new concept in Nigeria, but it is growing rapidly, and you can see that people build homes for that now.
I think that's two questions for me to get back to you on.
Okay. No wahala. Then you have another question here. Given to the 6 months, 3 months, and 7 days notice.
Yes.
If the landlord serves these notices by himself, is it legal?
It's wrong. It is wrong. I don't know why. Like I said, most landlords, I don't know, they don't like following due processes. I don't know. Respect, apologies to landlords that are here, but it's better to do the right thing. Go get a lawyer, get a bailiff. It's proper for a bailiff to serve your tenant, not the landlord serving the tenant. It's wrong. It's wrong. It's better for the bailiff to serve the tenant. As I said, you do go to a court. It will be stamped. Put all the stamps. Everything is put on it, and then the bailiff is paid by the landlord to come and serve. It's better to serve. Increment of rent, eviction notices is better done by a bailiff, not the landlord. Not the landlord. Thank you.
Okay, so we understand it is not legal. Okay, you have another question here.
Yes.
By Francis. Is it possible for a landlord to include eviction terms different from the prescribed 6 months?
No, it's not legal. It's wrong. They do it, they actually do it, but it is wrong. It is wrong. It's not legal. If you know your rights, you will not move out. They give you a 6 month, a different one that is not that 6 months normal due process. You won't move out. If you go to court, you will win.
Okay.
Yes.
Then you have a last question, another one I see here, but I think you've answered this. It says, what does the law say on rent increments?
Yeah, I think I talked about it.
Yeah, you talked about it. Shouldn't the landlord provide notice well ahead of time? But
Very
I think
important. Very important.
Yeah, but
Very important.
I think you have done this.
I think somebody writing some landlords collect agreement fees. I didn't see it well. Somebody wrote something now.
Okay. Let me probably come to that. Okay. That's the last one. Okay. Let me read one or two. Then, okay. Someone said here, please, madam, does a tenant have the right to refuse to pay her rent in a situation where the landlord increased rent yearly?
No. Like I said from the beginning, I said the landlord has a right to put a price to whatever his property. He has a right. He can increase his rent, but he has to follow due process. If he wants to be increasing his rent yearly, it's his decision. If you cannot cope, you leave. Or if he just wants to follow due process. Like for instance, if you pay your rent now, he can send a letter again and say, by the time you're paying your rent next year, it has been increased. It's his decision. But it's actually wrong, but it is right, actually. So it's for you to say, I do not want to stay anymore. I can't continue paying these ridiculous increments. And then you leave.
Okay.
But that one of increasing your rent without due notice, you have a right to stay there till you are comfortable to pay it. In fact, I even advise some people that come to me, I tell them that pay the old rent because this one is not legal yet. So you can maybe you pay it this year and the next year you can pay the new increment.
So if I get you right, to use one sentence to qualify it, if the landlord is increasing the rent every year, it's ethically wrong, but can be legally right.
Yes.
If you are served 1 year in advance, correct?
Yes.
Okay. All right. We're learning a lot of technical terms here tonight. Someone said my landlord gave me 2 months quick notice. Okay. Another person said some landlord collect agreement. I think this is the one you saw. It says some landlord collect agreement fees and they will never give the agreement document to the tenant. They are just after the money. What should the tenant do in that case?
The tenant can decide to take the landlord to court too. If you have proof that you paid him agreement fee, because why would the landlord be collecting? That agreement fee is not even for the landlord, it's for the lawyer that will pay the tenancy agreement. So why would the landlord collect it and then just keep it in his pocket? That's very wrong, because there's nothing binding the relationship between tenant and the landlord. There's no agreement. So if the tenant is, once the landlord realizes that this person knows his or her rights, they will sit up. But if you are just nonchalant about it, maybe you're asking casually about the tenancy agreement, after I say, I beg, let me leave this man, I beg, he will just go and sit down. But if you insist and say, I want my tenancy agreement, I paid for it, I want it, insist continuously, you will get it. You will get it.
Okay. But the cost of litigation, it's also something else.
No, see, tenancy agreement, no, now, the landlord is just being greedy. Tenancy agreement is 10% of the rent. For instance, if the rent is, let's look at like 350, that's 35K. That's small money now.
Okay.
So why would the landlord not want to pay a lawyer to prepare a tenancy agreement? It's 10% of the rent paid by the tenant. So it's not so much. And let's be frank, the tenant pays the tenancy agreement at the first rent. When they're paying their rent, apart from their rent, they pay tenancy agreement. Do you understand? So it's not even the landlord's money that is using to pay the tenants, the lawyer. It's the money paid by the tenants. So why wouldn't you do that? You have already gotten your rent, so pay the lawyer to prepare a tenancy agreement.
Okay. All right. It's noted. It seems some people want to have the cake and the slice on the icing of the cake at the same time. Okay. The person who asked the question about the 2 months quit notice, he said this man is fond of doing this to his tenants because most of us are students. Okay. He said thank you, ma.
They don't know their rights. They should start asking for their rights. So they don't know their rights.
Another person is saying thank you, ma. I wish this land. I don't want to call the name of the people. I wish this particular landlord can hear this. So this person has a problem with a certain kind of landlords. I won't call the name on this something. Another person said this kind of another landlords should also hear this one too. Okay, they are calling different kinds of landlords. I'm not going to call the name here. Okay. And the last question I have here before we sign out. In the case where the landlord goes to court to claim ownership of the property in order to chase away his tenant or to make him pack out within 2 weeks, is that fair? Like, is it legal?
There's no customary court judge that would rule in favor of a landlord that just comes to court without following due process. There's no one. It's not possible. That's why I always tell people, if they bring a letter for you to come to court, go to the court. Go to the court and say your mind. It's when you don't go to court that you assume that you are guilty of what the landlord has come to label against you. You understand? But if they invite you to court, because normally when the landlord does that, they invite the person to court. They send a letter to them to come to court. So go to the court and defend yourself. Get a lawyer and go there to defend yourself. But most times people are afraid of going to court. They're like, I don't want to go. In the end, they'll just run away. So you allow the landlord to win when in actual fact you did not do anything. So they should always try to go to court. They should not. How can a landlord just come and tell you, give you 2 weeks notice and tell you that you should you should move out of their premises? No, it's not done. It's against the law. It's against the law.
Okay, finally, please, can we all, please, someone said I saw it with my 2 eyes, or my neighbor, it happened to him. Okay, different people are having testimonies here.
Did the neighbor go to court? Did the neighbor go to court?
Okay. All right. So finally, please, everyone on the call, can you please appreciate Barrister Pemi tonight, please? Do me a favor and appreciate Barrister Pemi.
Thank you.
Please, thank you. Someone is saying who is responsible for paying the lawyer?
Is the tenant.
Considering that is usually the landlord who engage their services. Okay, it's the tenant.
When they pay the landlord, they always say agreement fee. They pay that money comes from the tenant. The first when you rent a house newly, you pay agreement fee alongside your rent. You understand? So the tenant pays that money, and that's why I'm saying that it's strange that landlord doesn't want to do the tenancy agreement. Why won't you just pay a lawyer? They've already paid you the money. It's not like it's coming from your pocket. So just pay a lawyer to do it and let everybody be happy.
Okay, so thank you very much, madam. We are saying thank you so much. What a splendid outing. And you can see from the questions were pouring like a waterfall.
Yes.
Okay. Somebody doesn't want us to let us go. Somebody has raised their last hand. It's reminding me of wrestling, WWF. When you beat somebody, before you know, they will just raise one hand up. I don't know if we can take this last one. Okay.
It's actually an error. Just trying to appreciate and clap and all that. Thank you. It's a nice one. A lot of people were listening to it here, and they were really encouraged here, my wife and others. So maybe when I listened, a lot of other people that are involved in one challenge or another with the landlords, we'll take them and listen to them more, then or maybe ask more questions later. But for now, we're okay. Thank you, sir.
All right. Thank you. All right. Thank you very much. I take it that the Olisa clan is listening today. Thank you so much. All right. Thank you very much, Barrister. Okay. I want to thank you very much for coming on today. I'm going to share, it's 55 pages, these slides. So it's full of a lot of stuff. I'm going to share the 55 page slide on the Aspire for Excellence Foundation WhatsApp forum. So if you want to get it, please, the link is on the chat box. Click on the link in the chat box for the WhatsApp forum. Click on it, please, and you will join automatically. And then we can share this to you. But normally, before we say good night, we want to thank everyone on the call.